In this package, Samsung Electronics urged to set up an information and communications technology assembly plant in Akwa Ibom. State chapter of Nigeria Union of Civil Service Secretarial and Stenographic Workers round up activities for its 2016 week celebration. And Radio Chapel of Nigeria Union of Journalists inaugurates new executive committee. Details of these and of other stories in just a moment. Hello, a very good morning to you and thanks for joining us. My name is Augusta Essien. The state government has called on Samsung Electronics to establish an information and communications technology assembly plant in the state.
In its commitment towards the development of science and technology, has employed ICT teachers, equipped schools with computers, as well as retrain and update the knowledge of ICT teachers in the state. He thanked Samsung and ATM Global for partnering to bring the scheme to the state and for donating 50 laptops, smart boards, tables and chairs, as well as solar panel for the takeoff of the scheme at the Uyo High School.
Government has also supplied over 500 laptops to our secondary and technical colleges and have linked these facilities to the internet. In our quest for ICT development, the state established the e-library, encouraging all students to make use of these facilities.
Goodwill messages came from the State Secondary Education Board. Samsung and ATM Global said the program is intended to expose school children to creativity on ICT to make them proficient.
For choosing Akwa Ibom and for choosing this school as their pilot project, the students, the teachers will not let you down.
We are also looking at training the teachers. They have to train the trainers. If the teachers are comfortable with technology, then you don't have any problem training them.
Patience John reporting.
More ministries, departments and agencies, MDAs of the state government were at the State Budget Office Uyo to argue out their 2017 budget estimates before the committee. The committee is headed by the Permanent Secretary Budget, Pastor Nicholas Ekarika, with members drawn from the Ministry of Finance, Economic Development, Establishment and the Internal Revenue Service. Report of Thursday's defense by the MDAs as filed by Etienne Oibanga is here presented. First to appear before the State Estimates Committee was the Deputy Governor's Office, led by the Permanent Secretary, Mr. Nkuburuk Ikaiko. The State Auditor General's Office, led by the Director of Audit, Mr. Godwin Udo, took the second turn, followed by the Akwa Ibom State Liaison Office, Lagos. The Office of the Auditor General for Local Government, as officials from the Millennium Development Goals, also presented their next year's proposals. Apart from collating submissions and examining figures in the 2017 proposal, the committee also sought to know the performance of the 2016 capital expenditure from them. The Permanent Secretary Budget, Pastor Nicholas Ekarika, said the state budget was operating the IPSAS standard and harped on the need for all ministries, departments, agencies and parastatals of government to keep the stipulated days of the timetable to ensure timely delivery of the jobs.
The report that is expected from you is accurate IPSAS.
Yes, for 2016.
Yes. Okay. So you are on. Already you have budget IPSAS. So what you need to do now is to look at the nitty-gritty of depreciation and all that in major assets of government, and then try also to look at the liabilities of government.
In an interview, the Akwa Ibom Liaison Officer Lagos, Mr. Michael Ekpeyon, applauded Governor Udom Emmanuel for granting approval for the early preparations of the 2017 budget estimates, describing it as a welcome development.
The state government has done well. We are paid on time. And we tell the state government for doing that.
The state chapter of the Nigeria Union of Civil Service Secretarial and Stenographic Workers, NOPSER, has rounded off her 2016 week celebration with a send-off party for retired members of the union. The event also featured presentation of awards of excellence for some outstanding serving and past union leaders in the state. AI Nopal completes the story.
The week is organized annually to celebrate the contributions of members and also remind them of their responsibilities to their employers. Addressing the gathering, the head of civil service, Mrs. Ekerebo Akpan, lauded the union for its togetherness and what she referred to as the I can do spirit exhibited by members, but urged other unions to emulate. Mrs. Akpan, who was represented by the Permanent Secretary, State Secondary Education Board, Dikonezat Mayam, saluted the State President of NOCSO for carrying members along, adding that the present administration has a listening ear for union matters and is ever ready to work hand in hand with them. The head of civil service congratulated the retired members of the union for serving the state meritoriously, but advised them not to relent in adding value to society, even in retirement. To those still serving, Mrs. Akpan also urged them to keep updating themselves, especially now that the federal government has abrogated the discrimination between HND and degrees.
Comrades, God is a rewarder of hard work. It is my earnest belief that if you are diligent at your desk and be trusted by your bosses, a higher responsibility with greater rewards awaits you.
The national president of NOCSO, Comrade Waiwai Yashi, who was represented by Comrade Okoje, and the state chairman of Nigeria Labour Congress, Comrade Tamukbong, who chaired the event, congratulated NOCSO for the successful hosting of the week and for celebrating retired members of the union.
We are all moving towards the same goal, and the goal is the happiness of the workers. The moment the workers are happy, their families are happy, there is no way this state won't be happy.
I use this opportunity to admonish you all to be, not to be redundant, but to exercise your skill to keep you moving in life.
The state chairman of NOCSO, Comrade Paulina Akpan, appreciated the state government for the support the union has enjoyed so far and also thanked other industrial unions for gracing the event. Comrade Akpan said NOCSO Week aims at bringing members across the state together to take stock and also brainstorm on how to improve the union. She appealed to the state government to pay retired workers their entitlements and asked for reinstatement in service allowance to members, training to be able to meet up with the global standards, and condemned situations where the personal assistant performs the duties of secretaries.
Really, government have tried their best, but it is not all that they should do. Want to use this chance to appeal to government that the retirees, after spending all their years in service, instead of giving their rights, their pensions and gratuity should be paid.
Goodwill messages were received from the Nigerian Associations of Nurses and Midwives, EGRIC Union, and NLC Women Committee. Award of Excellence were presented to Special Advisor to the Governor on Labor, Mr. Ekpeyong Enyina, Permanent Secretary in the Office of Head of Civil Service, Mrs. Enofiong, the immediate boss of the state chairman of NOCSO, Elder Udoidum, and the Director of News and Current Affairs, Akwa Ibom Broadcasting Corporation, Comfort Umana. Gifts were also given to the union retirees, including Comrade Margaret Adiakban, Nkeruwe Makban, John Otu, Comfort Ebong, Grace Akban, Gregory Udo, and Edo Akban. Some of the retirees thanked the union for her magnanimity.
For God to have sustained us up to this moment, we have to give God the glory.
Very, very happy to thank my chairman.
The 2016 NOCSO Week had as its theme, building a better secretarial bureaucracy.
Solidarity forever, and the union ever strong.
Iyagino Paul reporting.
You're watching AKBC 45 News this Saturday morning. If you're just joining us, we said earlier that the state government has called on Samsung Electronic to establish an information and communications technology assembly plant in the state. The call was made by Governor Udom Emmanuel during the donation of some products by Samsung Electronics for its Smart School program. At the occasion, he was represented by his deputy, Mr. Moses Ikni. We also told you that the 2017 Budget Defense Committee, headed by the Permanent Secretary of Budget Office, Pastor Ekarika, has received more ministries, departments, and agencies. The last group included Office of the Deputy Governor and the Akwa Ibom State Liaison Office in Lagos. Take a break. We have more news for you after this time out. Just stay with us. Welcome back. A new executive to man the affairs of the Radio Chapel of the Nigeria Union of Journalists for the next 3 years has been inaugurated. The executive was reconstituted after elections conducted by the chapel, where Comrade Ebek Ikoridem emerged as chairman after defeating Comrade Mfon Uye with 11 votes to 9. The new vice chairman of the chapel is Godwin Edwok, who emerged after polling 11 votes against 9 for Ufot Udokang, while Comrade Nenteyo is the secretary with 11 votes against her counterpart Kufre Francis, who had 9 votes. Gift Okure is the financial secretary, while Victoria Eko is the treasurer. Administering the oath of office on the new executive members, Barrister Utrabasi Court urged them to respect their offices and stand by the promises they have made. The Electoral Committee Chairman, Comrade Idrishet, thanked the candidates for conducting themselves properly during the campaigns, but advised the winners to carry everyone along and work as a family. The State Chairman of the NUJ, Elder Patrick Albert, represented by Comrade Patrick Titus, congratulated the chapel for the successful conduct of the elections, advised the new executive not to sideline those that contested against them, but to work towards the success of the chapel and the AKBC. Goodwill messages were presented by the chairman of Federated Chapel of the Union, Comrade Inimfon Silas, that of Consolidated Chapel, Comrade Sammy Charles, chairman of NTA Chapel, Comrade Charity James, and secretary of AKBC TV Chapel, Comrade Anthony Tam, who represented the chairman, Comrade Colonel Edem Efreti, and the outgoing chairman of the Radio Chapel, Samuel Jonah. The new chairman of the Radio Chapel of the NUJ, Comrade Edem, thanked members for voting him into the office and pledged to carry everyone along. A book titled The Nigerian Child and Youth Development, based on researches of experts in various fields of human growth and development, which also discusses social and pathological phenomena of drug abuse, religions, fanaticism, and militancy, is to be presented to the public. A statement by the editor of the book, Professor Item Udo of the Department of Education, University of Uyo, indicates that the presentation will be performed by Governor Udom Emmanuel on 19th August 2016 at the University of Uyo Auditorium, Town Campus, at 10 o'clock in the morning. The event is to coincide with the United Nations World Youth Week. According to the statement, the 456-page book, with contributions by several academics from the universities of Sokoto, Ahmadu Bello University Zaria, Uyo, as well as the University of Calabar, also discusses the place of children and youths in primary and basic social institutions of education, health, national economy, and girl-child education and sports. And to foreign news, Borno State Governor sets a board to monitor activities of Islamic clerics. 1 year after closure, Venezuela and Colombia agrees to reopen borders. For details of these and more, stay with Samuel Ayara on our national and foreign news segment.
Borno State Governor Kashim Shettima has inaugurated the Borno State Islamic Preaching Board, BSIPB, to regulate Islamic preaching across the state. The group is also to spy on preachers who may want to spread radicalized doctrines, even as he said plans were on to set up a board to monitor the proliferation of traditional Arabic schools for the purpose of protecting noble schools from those with hidden motive. The board comprises different scholars from major Islamic denominations, including the Darika and Izala groups, to the Chief Imam of Borno State, Zana Ahmed, as chairman of the board. According to Shettima, it was time to take firm, consistent, and knowledgeable steps to separate clerics who preach in the name of Allah from those who encourage the killing of innocent souls in the name of Allah. Enugu State Governor Ifeanyi Ugwanyi has reassured residents of the state of his administration's unwavering commitment to protect lives and property. Ugwanyi made this known in Nsukka when he paid an unscheduled visit to Nsukka prisons following Tuesday night jailbreak. He stated that the government was working with security agencies to ensure that fleeing escapees were recaptured, as well as prevent future occurrence of such incidents. The governor, who was conducted around the facility by the officer in charge of the Nsukka prison, Okonkwo Lawrence, called on residents of the state to stay calm and go about their businesses. And on the foreign scene, Venezuela and Colombia have agreed to reopen pedestrian border crossings between their countries a year after Venezuela closed the frontier in a dispute over security and smuggling. Colombian President Juan Manuel Santos said on Thursday that he and his Venezuelan counterpart agreed to open 5 pedestrian crossings for 15 hours a day from Saturday. Santos said they have decided to open the border gradually after talks with Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, while plans are on about opening up the border to cargo vehicles. More than 70 influential Republicans have signed a letter urging the party to stop spending money on Donald Trump's presidential campaign and direct it instead to November's congressional races, calling for an immediate shift of party funding to Senate and House races to aid down ballot Republicans whose own election prospects have been harmed by Mr. Trump's growing unpopularity. The recent outrages have built on his campaign of anger and exclusion, during which he has mocked and offended millions of voters, including the disabled, women, Muslims, immigrants, and minorities. Signatories to the letter are of the view that Trump's chances of being elected are evaporating by the day.
Now to end the news, another look at the top stories. Samsung Electronics has been urged to set up an information and communication technology assembly plant in the state. Governor Domineno made the plea when the electronic company made donations to the state. We also brought a report that the Radio Chapel of the Nigeria Union of Journalists has been inaugurated with Mr. Eden Ikoridem as chairman. As a package, just a quick reminder that you can also watch AKBC TV online by logging onto akbconline.org or follow us on Twitter at AKBC45U or on Facebook at AKBC Channel 45. On behalf of the production team, have a wonderful Saturday ahead and stay blessed.